Greetings, this is Father Steve, pastor at Our Lady Queen of Angels here in Newport Beach. Just reaching out to you with a little reflection for the gospel on the sixth Sunday of Easter. You know, this is part of the great final discourse that Jesus has in the setting of the Last Supper, and this is a continuation of last week or the last several weeks of the gospel. But it's in the midst of this final discourse that Jesus gives a commandment. And we've all heard this a million times. This is my commandment to you, that you love one another. And I think, why does that have to be a commandment? Can't we just kind of get up and do that? But I think for the self-absorbed, which is pretty much the nature of being a human being, it probably really does take a commandment to love one another. It's more than a suggestion, it's more than a nice possibility. It's really a commandment of how we're called to live. And yet the reality of it is, and maybe that's why Jesus gave it as a commandment, he knows we're full of human weakness, that we love with condition, we love with other possibilities, we love with hesitation. But to really love one another is really a decision of the will. It's not just a feeling. And anyone that's ever been on a marriage encounter knows kind of one of those taglines that comes out of those marriage encounter weekends. Love is not a feeling, it is a decision. And that's where this statement of how married couples are called to love one another, it's not based on a feeling, but rather the commitment of the will. I remember it got me thinking a little bit about a great book that I read, and I've read it a few times. Viktor Frankl, who is a German psychiatrist who survived the experience of the Nazi camps in World War II. And he has a great book called Man's Search for Meaning. And in it, he describes how the two extremes of our humanity showed up. The people that invented the gas chamber, and then the people who walked into them praying the Jewish prayer of faith, or for a Christian, the Our Father. Both people showed up in the same camp. And in a certain sense, that's kind of a little bit of reflection on what we have within us. We have the decision to give life, or we have the decision to take life. So I need to think about that a little bit in my life. Maybe not in quite so dramatic a term as the camps, but certainly in the way that I choose to work with people, live with people, love with people. Do I do the kind of decision making to love even when it's a hard thing to do? I got to think about that a little bit, and I ask for the grace of Jesus to touch my life, to being a better lover of especially people I find difficult to be with at times, who are different than me, and how would I choose to love and give life? Maybe something for you to think about too this week. God bless.